Donald Trump released a statement calling for a ban on all Muslims entering the United States. All. I'm going to give you his exact statement in a second. But understand that people followed up with him. And it's actually not even clear if he means just immigration. He may mean like, no, even if you're a Muslim American and you went on a trip or you're overseas or whatever, and you come back, sorry, you're banned. All. Calling for a ban on all. He said the following, quote, Donald J. Trump, I'm not kidding, he referred to himself in the third person on his own website. Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what is going on. According to Pew Research, among others, there is a great hatred towards Americans by large segments of the Muslim population. Most recently, a poll from the Center for Security Policy, hold on to that name in your head because we'll come back to that in a little bit, released data showing 25% of those polled agreed that violence against Americans here in the United States is justified as part of the global jihad, and 51% of those polled agreed that Muslims in America should have the choice of being governed according to Sharia. Sharia authorizes such atrocities as murder against non-believers who won't convert, beheadings, and more unthinkable acts that pose great harm to Americans, especially women. Let me pause here for a second. If only we had some kind of First Amendment, which guaranteed that we have a secular government and that does not allow any religious group to force their religion on everybody else through the government. If only we have that, then maybe this wouldn't be a concern. I digress. He continues here. Until we are able to determine and understand this problem and the dangerous threat it poses, our country cannot be the victims of horrendous attacks by people that believe only in jihad and have no sense of reason or respect for human life. If I win the election for president, we are going to make America great again. Okay. Now, if he were to release a statement that said, I want to ban all jihadists from entering the United States of America, not a single person in the country would disagree with him. Not a single one. Not a single one. I would be out here saying he's 100% right. Oh, no question about it. 100% right. Even if he were to say, I want to do our best to keep out all fundamentalists. So even if they're not going to do jihad, violence to try to implement Sharia, I want to keep out Islamists too. Islamists being people who believe in political Islam, so they believe in Sharia, but they want to try to implement it by using the system against itself, using democracy against itself. Even if Trump released a statement that said, I want to keep out all jihadists, and I want a screen to keep out all Islamists, I wouldn't be out here doing this segment and be ranting and raving and getting upset by it. But he very clearly said, I want a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States. Muslims entering the United States. So he is talking about all. Oftentimes, people on the right will say, why are the liberals pretending like we're talking about all Muslims? We're not. We're not generalizing. We're being specific. I don't know what they're talking about. They're strawmanning us. No. This is not a strawman. This is what he's saying. I'm simply reading you what his statement is, and then I'm saying I disagree with that. I would not keep out all Muslims. I'm fine with keeping out jihadists and Islamists. And by the way, we have a fantastic screening process in the United States that attempts to keep out people just like that. And I'm on board with that. I'm not trying to take that away and just let everybody in, no questions asked. So I'm in favor of vetting. I'm in favor of background checks. I'm in favor of keeping out jihadists and Islamists. But when you say I want to keep out all Muslims, that doesn't make any sense, because then you're punishing a lot of people who are good people who are trying to flee that kind of violence. I know Donald Trump doesn't care about nuance and detail or anything, but Donald, Shia Muslims, for example, they're fighting ISIS. ISIS are fundamentalist Sunnis. They're ultra-conservative Sunnis. They're Salafis or they're Wahhabis. So the Salafists want to get rid of all of the Shias. In fact, they want to kill all the Shias before they get to the big bad Americans. So why would we say, we're going to reject the Shias as well, when they cannot be, by definition, part of ISIS or Al-Qaeda? Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you reject the Kurds, who are fighting ISIS right now? One of the biggest forces fighting ISIS. They're Sunni Muslims as well. How could you say no to them? How can you say no to Sufi Muslims who don't believe in any way, shape, or form in jihad? How can you say no to Ahmadiyya Muslims? By the way, some of these different Muslim groups are viewed by, in fact, all of them are viewed by ISIS as they're heretics. They're not really Muslims because they don't believe in my specific version of Islam. So Donald Trump wants to lump all of them in together, even though ISIS is trying to kill the rest of them. No, he is a bigot, and he is generalizing. There's no question about it. Now, oftentimes, I think people are wrongly maligned as, hey, you're generalizing, you're a bigot, you're a xenophobe, you're an Islamophobe. There are some new atheists who are tarred with that. I don't think that's merited, because I don't think they are that. In the case of Donald Trump, though, he is that. He clearly is that. So, the polls, the specific poll that he cited, he paid lip service to Pew, but then if you notice, he didn't actually cite anything specific from Pew. Okay? He cited something from the Center for Security Policy. Now, that sounds legit, right? Center for Security Policy, high-minded, legit. You assume, ooh, that must be vetted and professional. No, it turns out that that's run by a man named Frank Gaffney, who is a far-right conspiracy theory lunatic. You don't believe me? Here, let me give you more information. Quote, he accused Hillary Clinton aide Huma Abedin of being part of a Muslim Brotherhood conspiracy. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, I think Huma Abedin is the wife of Anthony Weiner, aide to Hillary Clinton. Are you kidding me? She's a Muslim Brotherhood. She's a Muslim. Must be in the Muslim Brotherhood. He accused the right-wing Conservative Political Action Conference, so the thing that we mock every year, CPAC, when they get together and they go on stage and they say hilariously stupid things, he accused people who were on the board in CPAC of having Muslim Brotherhood connections. Okay, CPAC is literally the last place I would look to find somebody with Muslim Brotherhood connections. He made it up. He totally made it up. Why? He's a lunatic. He's a lunatic. All right, next. His think tank also propagates the myth of the no-go zones in the European Union. Now, that's not to say there aren't pockets of where there's fundamentalist Islam in Europe, and that is a problem. But remember, Fox News was harping away about this recently, and then fact checkers came out, and there was, for example, a French TV show that literally went into the zones that they said were no-go zones, and they asked people who weren't Muslim, like, hey, are you allowed around here? They're like, the fuck are you talking about? Of course we are. Don't be ridiculous. Because it was a fake expert on Fox News who's like, oh, no-go zones all over the place. This guy helped spread those myths, absolute myths, more. Gaffney claims that the U.S. Missile Defense Agency logo was altered by the Obama administration to reflect a morphing of the Islamic crescent and star with the Obama campaign logo. This guy's a lunatic. He thinks Obama's a Muslim. He's like, ooh, look, he's putting secret Muslim signs on our weaponry and whatnot. Ooh, my God, this is a serious story. Do we have a Manchurian candidate? And on top of that, quote, the poll itself was conducted in a manner that was unscientific. Shortly after it was released in the summer of 2015, the Bridge Initiative at Georgetown University contacted the conservative pollster who conducted it and found out that the poll was conducted as a non-probability-based opt-in online survey, which means it has, they say, no statistical validity whatsoever. Now, guys, do not get me wrong, okay? Don't fucking strawman the shit out of what I'm saying right now. Are there troubling poll numbers in the Muslim world? Oh, absolutely. And I go as far as to point out what I think is fairly obvious, which is that if you take the Muslim world as a whole right now, they are significantly more conservative, and I don't like conservatism, than the Christian world right now. There's no doubt about that. And we can have conversations about specific poll numbers that are troublesome, and we need to fight back in the realm of ideas to change the minds on serious issues that are reflected in the poll numbers, whether it's through Pew or Gallup or elsewhere. But don't get it twisted. Does that then mean that we do Donald Trump's step, which is literally ban all Muslims from entering the United States? No, that is bigotry. That is bigotry. This is the way I like to put it. Other commentators have pointed this out as well, but this is my belief as to how we talk about this issue. It doesn't make sense to be anti-Muslim, because Muslims are people, and that can be a sign of bigotry against people. But it does make sense to be anti-Islam, because Islam is a doctrine. It's, they have holy books, which are, in my view, like any other holy books. I disagree with all of them. I think they're irrational. I think they're untrue. I think they're potentially dangerous because there's plenty of violence in all of them. There's some good things in them too, but there are plenty of violent passages in all of them. So it makes sense to be anti-Islam. It makes sense to be anti the doctrine, a dogmatic doctrine from thousands of years ago that makes no sense. You're not a bigot if you do that. I believe you're rational if you take that position. You're rational if you're anti-Islam, but you are bigoted if you're anti-Muslim, and specifically in Donald Trump's case, quite literally, anti-all Muslims from entering the United States. This is a horrible idea. This does show a real problem with, I don't like the term Islamophobia because, again, that confuses Islam and Muslims, but this does show a big problem with anti-Muslim bigotry on the right. So Muslim phobia, if you want to call it that. And Donald Trump is the poster boy of this horrific, grotesque way of thinking.